How did a 29-year-old in cargo shorts become the face of crypto? And then its biggest villain. Sam Bankman-Fried, better known as SBF, was once hailed as the savior of digital finance. The billionaire boy genius who promised to give away his fortune ran a sleek exchange and charmed investors with awkward charisma. But beneath that image was a ticking time bomb. When FTX collapsed, it took billions in customer funds and global confidence with it. This is the story of how he fooled the world. So like, subscribe, and comment. Was SBF a mastermind fraud or just over his head? The rise of Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried didn't look like your typical Wall Street mogul. He wore t-shirts, played video games during meetings, and talked about saving the world. A math prodigy and MIT grad, SBF entered crypto in 2017 by founding Alameda Research, a quantitative trading firm that made massive profits from arbitrage, buying Bitcoin in one market and selling it in another. By 2019, he launched FTX, a crypto exchange aimed at professional traders, built with a slick interface and advanced features. It quickly gained popularity, attracting millions of users and billions in trades. FTX didn't just sell crypto, it sold trust. SBF pitched it as the safer, more transparent option. He spent big on branding, securing deals with the Miami Heat to rename their arena, adding FTX patches to MLB umpire uniforms, and donating millions to both sides of U.S. politics. His net worth surged to over $26 billion at its peak, and headlines crowned him the next Warren Buffett. SBF wasn't just a CEO, he was a movement. With his message of earning to give, he said he'd donate 99% of his wealth to charity. He became crypto's golden boy. But every gold rush has its con: building a house of cards. Behind the curtain, SBF was building something far more fragile than it appeared. Alameda Research and FTX weren't just siblings, they were conjoined twins. Alameda, run by SBF's close inner circle including ex-girlfriend Caroline Ellison, had a dangerous amount of access to FTX's customer funds. Here's the alleged game. Users deposited money into FTX to trade crypto, but instead of keeping those funds safe, SBF allegedly siphoned billions into Alameda, where they were used for high-risk bets, lavish real estate, and political donations. All of this was happening without user consent. FTX created its own token, FTT, and used it as collateral to inflate Alameda's balance sheets. Internal documents revealed massive leverage, loans backed by assets that weren't worth what they claimed, and worse, there were no proper financial controls, no CFO, no independent board, no separation between customer funds and trading capital. Yet the media adored him. SBF gave TED Talks, sat on stages with world leaders, and promised to fix global pandemics with crypto wealth. The effective altruism movement embraced him, but the truth was rotting beneath. FTX looked like a fortress, but it was a sandcastle dressed up in logos and philanthropy. The collapse begins. It all came crashing down in November 2022. CoinDesk published a report exposing that most of Alameda's balance sheet was based on FTT, FTX's own token. It was like using monopoly money to prove you were rich. The market smelled blood. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, CZ, a former FTX investor and now rival, announced on Twitter that he was liquidating Binance's FTT holdings. That triggered panic across the crypto world. Investors rushed to pull their money, over $6 billion withdrawn in just 3 days. FTX was caught in a classic bank run, but without the backing of any central bank. It had no liquidity. It wasn't holding the assets it promised it had. On November 8th, FTX halted all withdrawals. Chaos erupted. Crypto prices plummeted. SBF tweeted that assets are fine, but within 72 hours, FTX had filed for bankruptcy. The company, once valued at $32 billion, had evaporated overnight. The financial ripple hit exchanges, hedge funds, and millions of retail traders. Confidence in crypto was shattered. Behind every crash is a crack that was ignored. For FTX, it was a cocktail of arrogance, poor governance, and unchecked power. The emperor had no clothes, and the world finally noticed. The fallout, victims, lies, and global panic. The damage was massive. Over 1 million customers worldwide lost access to their funds. Retirement savings, life earnings, business capital, all trapped or vanished. The total haul? Over $8 billion. Even celebrities weren't spared. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen, who were equity stakeholders and spokespeople for FTX, got dragged into lawsuits. Larry David, Naomi Osaka, Shaquille O'Neal all sued for promoting what turned out to be a financial black hole. Big-name investors who once called SBF the smartest founder of his generation suddenly went silent. Sequoia Capital wrote off its $213 million investment as a total loss. SoftBank, Tiger Global, and others followed suit. But the strangest part came after the collapse. Instead of laying low, SBF launched a bizarre media tour. He appeared on Twitter Spaces, did a New York Times DealBook interview, and kept saying, "I never intended to defraud anyone." He claimed he just messed up. But investigations told another story. FTX had no board of directors, no accounting department. Slack messages showed billion-dollar decisions being made casually. Alameda had a secret backdoor to withdraw customer funds without alerting FTX's systems. It wasn't just mismanagement, it was reckless, systemic failure. People trusted SBF with their money, and their trust was shattered. The collapse wasn't just about a company, it was about how a myth unraveled in real time. The trial of the century. In December 2022, Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas at the request of U.S. authorities. The golden boy of crypto was now a federal fugitive. Extradited shortly after, he faced a staggering list of charges: wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and campaign finance violations. His closest allies folded fast. Caroline Ellison, CEO of Alameda Research, and Gary Wang, FTX's co-founder, both pled guilty and turned state witnesses. What followed was one of the most shocking financial trials in modern history. The courtroom heard how SBF used customer funds not just for trading, but to buy luxury real estate in the Bahamas worth over $200 million. He funneled more than $70 million into political donations, aiming to build influence across both U.S. parties. And perhaps most damning of all, he allegedly created a hidden backdoor in FTX's code, allowing Alameda to withdraw customer funds without triggering alarms. SBF claimed he didn't intend to cause harm. His legal team painted him as overwhelmed, not malicious. But prosecutors shredded that defense, arguing he was cold, calculated, and manipulative. The jury didn't buy the act. In November 2023, Sam Bankman-Fried was found guilty on all counts. He now faces up to 110 years behind bars, a dramatic fall from grace for the crypto industry's once beloved prophet. How did he fool everyone? Sam Bankman-Fried didn't just sell a product, he sold an identity. He was the awkward genius, the hoodie-wearing math whiz who promised to fix the world through crypto. That persona was part of the scam. His so-called effective altruism let him justify obscene wealth with promises to donate it later. Investors and journalists bought into it, charmed by his quirky interviews and claims of moral high ground. He courted power expertly, appearing at Davos, headlining conferences, and chatting casually with senators. Media gave him fawning coverage, calling him the next Buffett. Even regulators hesitated to look too closely. The crypto world, still largely unregulated, was the perfect stage. There were no watchdogs, no audits, and few questions. Venture capitalists poured in money with barely any due diligence. Some admitted later they were blinded by the hype. His image, messy hair, cargo shorts, a guy playing video games while building billion-dollar empires was mistaken for brilliance, but it was just smoke and mirrors. SBF manipulated optics masterfully. In an industry already full of hype, he simply became its most polished illusionist. So is crypto dead? No, but it's a lot more cautious now. Less hype, more hard questions, and fewer boys playing billionaires. Want more real stories that pull back the curtain? So like this video and comment your thoughts on the trial, and don't forget to subscribe.